All right. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. Hello, everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I heard someone now. Everybody else was muted. Good deal.
This is Georgina.
All right, Georgina.
Hey, I'm going to unmute my phone now, so I just wanted to let you know I'm here.
Okay. Okay, it's 2 o'clock, and it looks like we have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Kurchik Bakta,
Present.
Gabriel Garcia, Alan Ayfield, Shana Sandoval,
Here.
Georgina Ortega-Angel.
Here?
All right.
Mr. Chairman, Gabe Garcia did call and he will be attending the meeting. He's just going to be a few minutes late.
Okay. Okay. If we could join us shortly. Approval of minutes. Any discussion on minutes? And if not, if I could have a motion to approve minutes. I believe I have a motion by Alan. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
All right. Roll call.
Shana Sandoval,
Yes.
Alan Ayfield, and Georgina Ortega-Angel.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passed.
Okay. So moving on to approval of agenda. Any discussion on approval of agenda? Or any changes anybody wants to make?
Mr. Chairman, Wid Slick would like to speak on item number 7B on the EDA grant, and he would also like to speak on item C, number 1 for New Mexico True Advertising Grant.
Okay. Is he representing those two? Yeah, I guess he's still representing EDA grant, right?
I am not sure.
Okay. Did he sign up for public input?
No, I received an email from him a little bit ago, and then he called me this morning.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, when those subjects come up, then we can have him speak.
Okay.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda as is.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call.
Georgina Ortega-Angel,
Yes.
Alan Ayfield, and Shauna Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right, moving on to the finance report with Bill.
I believe he is in a meeting right now. If you want to come back to that, or I don't have the finance report, so
Yeah.
he's the only one that has it.
Chuck, around the point of the approval of the agenda would be the good time to mention that Bill's not going to make it, so we can adjust the agenda.
Well, I believe he's going to make it. I was just told that he was in a meeting.
Okay. All right. However that works, we will. I'm not sure if we can move it without adjusting the agenda. All right, let's, I'm just going to move forward to public input if there's anything. Is there any public input, Chuck?
No, I do not have anything.
All right. On to the agenda. We need to nominate a vice chair. I believe there is no vice chair. So in case I'm not able to make it, the board needs a vice chair. So we need to nominate a vice chair going forward. So I'm up for any nominations for the vice chair. One of my suggestions is Alan with experience. But if I can have a nomination, I'd like to hear it.
I would nominate Alan for vice chair.
Okay. And do I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Alan, your mic isn't working for some reason.
All right. So we had a second roll call on that.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Yes?
Shauna Sandoval,
Yes.
and Alan Ayfield.
Oh, he's going to want to be nominated, so.
And then Kurtik Bhakta.
Yes.
So nomination passes with Alan as vice chair.
Okay, that is complete. We could swing back around to Bill, see that he's here for the finance report.
All right, just give me a second to catch my breath here. Sorry, got tied up in another meeting.
Yeah.
Based on the request at the last meeting, I put the budget alongside the current year-to-date numbers. And so just so you know, the first line there, we've had 150,800 plus dollars of income since July 1st. And that's averaging about 30,000 a month. And so that's just information. I've got the items that were in the budget also listed under the publications, advertising, and contracts. The visitor's guide, which is still hanging out there at 26,000. We have the encumbered items at 20,000, and New Mexico True advertising, which we did not use, at 63,154. We also have $500 for the Arts Council a request that hasn't been part of the encumbered yet. And if you'll notice that the $5,000 for the visitor's guide mileage, that has been paid, so I took that off. And so. And of course, our infrastructure projects, wayfinding at 52, that's still out there. Just so the board knows that we're working with Public Works. The one bid that we did get, they want to fabricate the signs and they want to install them by bolting them down, but they want us to do all the bases. So I'm working with Public Works to get that all figured out. And we haven't met yet, but we're planning on meeting to discuss that. And once we get that all figured out, then we're going to go forward with the wayfinding. And of course, we have the two projects that were approved. And the contracts, I think, are at the attorneys for E. Romero and Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance. And so anyway, the end result is we have approximately $140,000 that is available or not encumbered yet.
Okay. Does anyone have any discussion on the finance report?
Yeah, the one on the visitor's guide, the 26th. When was that approved? That was the last or the beginning of the year, was it?
Yes, that was for last year's visitor's guide. And we left it there because I think initially we thought maybe it would get delayed, but the decision was not to do a visitor's guide this year, talking with Andy and Melissa. And so I left it there with for discussion with the board, as well as the New Mexico True monies, which weren't used in FY21. And we're getting ready to start discussing FY22. So both of those funds are available for FY22, basically. And the visitor's guide can be used for, the spring coming up.
All right. My question on that visitor's guide is, because of COVID, we should be doing digital, period, because it's a waste to do anything on print that people are going to be handling. So I just want to make sure that we can convert that as long as it's used as a guide, but digital.
Well, that needs to be discussed. That would need to be discussed, through the board on where they want to put the money and how they want to spend the money.
Okay,
that would digital guide is even available.
Yeah, that would be my biggest concern, right, at this moment. Anything we put out in marketing, digital. Nobody should be touching anything physically with hands, so it's not being circulated in the public. It should be digital. All right, that's my only concern about anything that we're going to be looking at with funding.
Okay. Yeah, I think the 26 we're keeping track of with the budget. I mean, we had approved it, so it's still there, but not used. So we'll have to discuss. I mean, it's still there, so we don't lose track of that approval. We'll have to decide how we're going to use it. And for us, I think, it could be used as a guide, and we can put the criteria that we would like it to be mainly digital. That was the suggestion when we approved it the first time around, if we could push for more digital. So maybe we could push again this time for the approval before we approve the future guide that this is what we would like, or have input on that. And I think we're going to have some presentation within this meeting on it, if anybody else is going to attempt to do the visitor's guide or how that's going to work. But it's still going to be going in, as far as I'm, it's going in front of this board for approval as far as the visitor's guide goes.
I'll make a recommendation. The thought process from staff was that the board can discuss, one, do we want to roll these monies over for a visitor's guide, whether it be digital, print, or however that's going to manifest itself, because come January, we'll probably need to make a decision how we're going to go forward with that guide, and then go through the approval process again with council and get that done. So we're still, have to go through that process with both monies and both campaigns.
Okay.
Again, my emphasis is anything we approve on marketing should be hands-free, and it should be digital. That it's on the internet, other ways of keeping everybody safe and COVID-free, because we do not want to be spreading anything.
We'll have more discussion on it, and we have it under approval, disapproval, further down the just within the next agenda. So we'll be talking about visitor's guide again soon. So we'll have our questions there. Are there any other questions on the finance report?
Yeah. How does the budget compare to where we were last year? Like, does anyone have that number offhand? If not, I'm sure we could dig and find it, but.
Yes, I can do that. Mm-hmm.
Just kind of curious to see, obviously it's going to be a lot lower number, but.
Yes.
And so our actual spend should be a lot less comparatively, but our actual spend.
We had a $377,000 budget last year.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now how that was all spread out, I don't quite remember. I remember that number.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the finance report? Okay, moving on. We're back into the agenda, and it's a project update, EDA grant. Who's, as far as the update for EDA grant, is that you, Bill, or is it going to be Wid?
I'm on and ready to update everybody on that. Okay?
Okay, go ahead, Wid.
Okay. So Las Vegas didn't get an EDA grant, but in the process of trying for it, the Lodgers Tax Board recommended a well-funded plan for economic recovery after COVID. You provided $250,000 from lodgers tax, with $93,000 of it for infrastructure that will improve the visitor experience, and $157,000 of it for advertising. Las Vegas First added another $150,000 for advertising, giving Las Vegas a total already in place of $400,000 to recover the economy after COVID. Lodger tax infrastructure is E. Romero Museum, River Park, GPS mobile app, and wayfinding. Lodger tax advertising is Visitor Center, billboards, visitor guide, and in-M tourism co-op marketing. Advertising from other funding sources includes $78,500 from NM Tourism, $40,000 for the Visitor's Guide, and media in-kind contributions of $33,000. You assembled this $400,000 in fiscal 2020 to spend now in fiscal 2021, or maybe in fiscal 2022, depending on the schedule that COVID allows. That's speaking to your concern, Georgina. No advertising should be done that isn't appropriate while COVID is still going. In addition, because fiscal year 2021 collections are higher than budgeted, only down 44% instead of the budgeted 75%, you will have another $185,000 by the end of this fiscal year, either to expand the programs already in place or to add additional initiatives. However, saying collections are only down 44% misstates the situation. Collections down 44% means $7 million normally spent in motels, restaurants, and retail stores by overnight visitors has been lost to COVID. Thank you for assembling $400,000 for a well-funded plan to recover the economy after COVID. And I've got the detail on New Mexico tourism when we come to that agenda item.
Right. Okay, so as far as discussion, I mean, going back to the item of the EDA grant, so what was there a specific answer as to why we didn't get approved?
If you'd like me to answer that, Mr. Chair, EDA did not approve any tourism grants. It's all construction grants.
Okay.
That's what we were advised.
So would you had sent I think me and Mayor a letter before when we were still going through this EDA grant about not including our capital items in there. That was not recommended at the time. There was a specific email sent by you. So I'm just wondering why the reversal. It seemed like the push by you and what was suggested to you, or whoever that suggested to you, was the push for marketing money. So how did we not know that this is the case? I mean, we certainly had a lot of infrastructure items we could have put on the ticket and made as a project if that's what the directive, if that's the information we had.
In retrospect, that's certainly a good point. But at the point we were going with negotiating with EDA, our contact point was the COG. EDA did everything through the COG, and it was the COG that thought that our best course was to go for marketing. So we followed their advice.
So the COG is specific for everyone, and what is specifically the COG?
It's the Steve Lacey at, help me, Bill.
North Central New Mexico Economic Development District. So that's the COG. That's the COG that we're under San Miguel County's in.
Okay. So I'm guessing this COG didn't win any approvals as far as EDA.
It didn't win any tourism approvals. It did. I assume there were some construction projects applied in New Mexico.
Okay. So I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get the lessons from this and see what we could do better. So either we choose different advice, or we find someone that can, or we really, I mean, we had a good opportunity here. So if we have that opportunity again, we want to make sure we're applying correctly. And if there's anything that the board could have done, we were ready to approve that. I believe we tried. So if that's the case, as far as future funding goes, hopefully we can find some better advice or anyone that has a stronger connection to the actual approval process, so we don't waste people's time. That's everyone. That's including us doing a proposal that we're doing what they're looking for, what they want, and what they want to approve. So hopefully we can get that in a better situation next time. I don't know how, but maybe we can talk to COG, or if there's other people that we can get advice from that are closer to the decision makers, that would help us in my mind.
Mr.
Correct.
Chair, the COG is the interface with EDA. So all EDA grants come through the COG. And EDA does not do any tourism. So we're not sure why it happened the way it did. It just did. And so lessons learned that we do not apply for EDA grants for tourism strictly. Now, if we have an infrastructure project, like maybe the Riverwalk Park or something like that, that's a possibility. But
yeah, that was a giant big one there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So good to know for everyone. EDA grant, capital infrastructure only.
they like roads.
Like roads. Good to know. Good to know. This is information we need to have before we go in. So hopefully everybody has it now. All right. Any more discussion on said EDA grant? I mean, I'd like to add, I mean, we really oriented a lot of our budget and pushed it for this grant. So it's a little bit disappointing on the answer. Losing is one thing, but losing by not having information, the correct information on what they're looking for, seems pretty bad. But that's all the discussion I have on that. If there's any other discussion on EDA grant.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to interject here. It sounds like from what you're saying that we totally applied incorrectly. EDA, when they put this funding out, it came through the CARES Economic Recovery Package, and they did a special exception because of COVID to encourage people to apply for tourism and marketing. Many did, including us and the New Mexico Department of Tourism. As it turned out, they were overwhelmed with applications given the money they had, so they went back to what they knew best, infrastructure.
That's horrible. That's I'm sorry, but that sucks. That's kind of I'm sure they're overwhelmed, but that's kind of did they tell you that was going to happen?
Oh, obviously.
No.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe at some point they could provide feedback, because then they owe an explanation to a lot of people, it sounds like, because they put in effort to put in the bids. So any information on that in the future, so that we're not doing this, or why attempt to do it if that's going to be the case. So whether it's from COG or wherever else, it'd be great to have a better explanation, at least something in writing that says they were not going to cover marketing after all, and so on, so that we know. Again, to me, it's a waste of time if that's what they were, ended up doing at the end. So that's not great. Okay, if there's not any more discussion, we can move on to the New Mexico True Advertising Grant.
Well, I have a question. This is Georgina.
Yeah.
With all of this effort, what kind of an input did we get from the marketing, from the city? What kind of an input did we have overall on looking at this? I mean, was there effort, from the city and their department to look at this grant to make sure that it was what they were looking for, timelines were looked at, and anything from the city in the marketing department that could have helped that? Was there collaboration there?
I can answer that. We, just like Wid explained, in tourism, were under the impression there was CARES money going to be used for marketing through EDA. When EDA contacted us to tell us we did not get the grant, that's when they explained that they didn't do any tourism at all. And so up until that phone call, there was no indication at all that what we had done was misdirected or what have you. So I think everybody was just kind of caught off guard. And like Wid mentioned, they were overwhelmed with the amount of applications and realized that they were in over their heads, basically, and it wasn't the type of thing that they do. And so they just decided not to do it.
Is there going to be another round?
Well, EDA grants, EDA money is oftentimes available all year round. So it just really depends on the timing. And we would have to look at it to see if maybe we can use it for some infrastructure. So that is for sure, we can take a look at that.
I mean, considering that you guys did everything proper, and then they turn around and pull that on you guys, I think that should like bump us up, some sort of list, because I think that's BS that they're going to just turn around and say, I'm sorry, we got it in over our head. And then all that hard work just went kaput. So, I mean,
Right. So there's some
make a
credit
call to
for-
someone and be
for
like,
applying.
bump us up a list somewhere because we did it right the first time and you guys are the ones that dropped the ball.
Well, there again, too, we can communicate with the COG since they are the EDA people that we need to talk to
Okay.
and discuss, any future grants and the timing on that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that's what they want, look, there's two things that we had already put some money towards, hoping for the ATA. So, I mean, one was the museum and the other one was the Riverwalk. So if those are strong, if that is a strong opportunity, I mean, and if we have clear guidance from the COG and so on, then we would make the effort to do that. In the state, I don't see, those are two great examples of, I'm not sure what else they would be looking for as far as, what they're wanting to approve. I mean, these are two strong items with the museum and the Riverwalk there for this. So maybe we can, if we have more direction, try again. And I agree with Gabe. I mean, we tried, so there should be some points in that for approval, considering we made the effort compared to anybody else that would come in new.
We can certainly research that.
Yeah. Okay.
It
All right.
definitely does. One thing I've learned this year is it doesn't hurt to ask. Just put it out there. I mean, I really think that someone out there will understand the situation. You just got to ask and see what they tell you.
Okay. All right. If there's any other discussion, we'll move on.
Fruit Tech, I think Ellen has had his hand raised.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forget on the mic issues. Let me open up to see if you had anything on the.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can.
I changed microphones. Just an observation on this. As you all are probably aware, the state's budget has taken a huge hit, and every department from economic development to tourism has been trying to adjust to that in the same way that we're trying to think of what's the best way for us to spend our money, and maybe this year we're going to spend more on digital instead of print. Every state department is trying to do that as well. The State Department of Tourism has had a huge cut to their budget, and they're trying to figure out how to recover from that as well and how to reallocate resources. So I think, as Gabe says, the thing we have to do is just stay nimble, because opportunities that were here last year are not here and now, but other things will come up. For example, Finance Authority right now has a grant program for direct marketing organizations, which could be worth $25,000 to Las Vegas, and those applications are going to be turned around in 1 week. So if those applications get in today or tomorrow, there's a good chance we'll get that. These are one-time opportunities, so it's just a matter of being really nimble. And I understand how disappointing it is that we didn't get this one, but everybody is struggling with the same problem, and there will be a lot of new opportunities, I think, in the next stimulus round.
Okay.
I have a question. So you said, this is directed to Alan, this $25,000 grant, is the city, is Henderson's staff aware of it, and are they working on this so they can submit something?
Yes, we got it.
And
Yesterday. Yeah, we got it late yesterday.
Yeah, so every time I see something like this, I'm gonna send it to the city, and I'll send it to the marketing organizations in town as well. This is one that just came out this week, and it's going to be turned around really quickly, and it's CARES Act funding.
well, I hope that we get some kind of feedback from your department, from the marketing, on this particular grant or any other grants that Mr. Allen sends your way, so we stay on top of them and make sure that they're delivered on time, because there's a lot of people or a lot of cities competing for these. So we've got to make sure we have a template already set up and made, and fire it off the minute it goes on the, we're notified of it. That's my only question right there would be.
Okay.
Noted.
Okay, if that ends the discussion on that, moving on to approval or disapproval. And first up, we've got a rollover of $63,154 for the New Mexico True Advertising Grant.
So we put that in there since the New Mexico True program was paused and then canceled for FY21. We've already gotten notice of FY22 is coming. We haven't seen the parameters for that yet. So our staff suggestion is we just, set the money aside and we see what this program looks like. We may want to use this amount of money. We may want to use less. It just really depends on, the budget and what we want to allocate for some of the other things that are on the agenda as well. So, but our recommendation is we just kind of hold steady on the monies until we've got something proper to, use the money for.
So
Okay.
can I jump in here and give a little info too? The FY22 will come out, but they usually don't come out until April. So this is basically just to say we would be interested if we are able to move forward with FY22. Also, I did tell Bill that I suggest that we lower that amount, maybe 2,000. The reason we had raised it last time is because of the fact that we added additional video and photography shoots in there. So that's just something to consider when you guys are discussing that one.
So I'm sorry, I was having trouble hearing you. So you're suggesting we lower the 63 amount?
Yeah, the reason we had raised it, if you remember correct,
Yeah.
the reason we had raised it was because we had added the additional video and photography shoots to it. But
Right.
we've always averaged around 40 to 50,000, at the most like 55,000, I believe, for the grant.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have some important information to add here.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, some of y'all may not know that I have secured the New Mexico Tourism Grant and managed it for, this would be the 7th year. And there is a fiscal year 21 program. Let me just sort of outline how it works. The heart of New Mexico Tourism's plan for economic recovery after COVID is to have the best possible advertising campaign ready to launch when the governor says motel occupancy is 100% and the state is again open for tourists. That way, the state and all its participating communities like Las Vegas will be ready to capture the pent-up travel boom that announcement will release. Tourism knows there are 3 things that can cause an advertising campaign to fail. 1, not enough budget. 2, poorly designed advertising. 3, poorly designed landing spots that advertising sends people to. With today's technology, that's usually websites. With 400,000 in place for marketing and another 185,000 available, Las Vegas is in good shape for number 1 budget. Here's what tourism has done so far.
Okay.
This fiscal year.
Got it. I got it. But I need it to the.
No, you have not gotten it, Mr. Chairman. You've been gotten wrong information from your staff. And I'd like to finish. It's only another 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Here's what tourism has done so far on 2 and 3 to help Las Vegas launch a successful advertising campaign to recover the economy after COVID. They've prepared video ads and secured space on airport LED screens. They've provided professional photography and 10-second videos for us to make ads for social media and mobile devices. They've secured time on Pandora Radio if we prepare the spots. And they've provided consultants to improve the websites that tourists might look at, from the city tourism website to attraction websites like the drive-in and golf courses, all the way down to the art gallery or restaurant a tourist might want to visit. Chuck, is there any way to do that share screen I asked for?
I believe you just go to the bottom of your screen, the bottom right, there says present now, and you can.
It just went away.
Okay, so for WID, so everything that you explained, which portions of that is for 2021 opening up? And when we do open up, which portion of all of that is that? Is that all stuff that's already done, or this airport marketing and all that is going to happen when we open up?
If I can figure out how to do this share screen, it'll be very clear, because it's both. I don't want your screen. Okay, I'm sorry. I know how to do this on Zoom, but not on here. Of the 78,500 that New Mexico Tourism has already provided to us. About 40,000 is for the things I just described, recovery readiness. And the other 35 is for advertising that they've paused, waiting for us to have the governor open up the state. Then y'all already approved and council approved 63,000 to match what tourism did. And that's very little of that will go to the rest of what's needed for getting ready to advertise. The rest of it, most of it will be available for the advertising campaign again after the governor opens the state.
I mean, it seemed pretty clear. I mean, on the 63, I mean, we selected packages and they were very clear on what was supposed to be there, right? So it doesn't seem very big. I mean, it was there from all the documentation we had and the packages we selected, it was pretty clear what we were doing. It sounds like
Right.
we're not doing that. So I know, I mean, forgive me for all the other things that you've said. I mean, it seems pretty clean. We're not doing that anymore. We need to decide what they are going to do and apply what we want to, and that's what we're having discussion for that next amount. Maybe necessarily we don't have to have that discussion now, necessarily lower the amount, but we can certainly take discussion saying, you know what, maybe we don't need that amount when we reapply, when we could reapply. So is that what you were trying to say, Virginia?
Actually, I was just going to clarify everything, but I'll let
Okay.
you before I jump in and say anything.
I will point out, as a longtime fundraiser, you told tourism for fiscal 21, you would match what they do with 63,000. Quite frankly, if you stiff them, it doesn't put you in a good position for then applying for the next round.
So here's
I'm
my
sorry,
confusion.
but that is the case.
I know, Wid, but what I'm being told is that this grant is no longer happening. So I'm not sure how we can stiff anyone if that grant's no
Wait a
longer.
minute, what grant?
You're correct, Hutek. Let me clarify this. First of all, there was never an MOU signed between Las Vegas First and the city. So we couldn't have distributed that money anyway. Second, I did check in with the state, and the state did, and I'm part of one of the boards, the marketing boards with the state. So we have a meeting tomorrow, and we've already clarified that we are not doing the FY21. Anything done with the FY21, like the Google DMO and that kind of stuff, was basically something free that was offered to us from the state as part of kind of getting us through COVID. And so they did send me an email saying that nobody was awarded for FY21. We don't have an MOU with Las Vegas First. We don't have a contract with anybody else on that 63,000. The state did clarify and say they did not award anybody anything for that 63,000. So if there was any new things that were added that had to come back to you guys to be approved prior to it being moved into those new projects, just like with anything else. Also, they're already moving into FY22. It was in the paper. It was shown that the money was moved into FY22 to create a bigger budget to help with recovery once we get going. So basically, that's where we're at. And like I say, I'm on one of those boards and we're having the same discussion tomorrow. Well, actually, we already had this discussion that we are not having that FY21 and we are moving into FY22. So that's where we stand. So even though you guys approved it back then, Las Vegas First never signed the contract. So either way, even if it would have went through, we still wouldn't have been able to distribute that money.
Okay. That makes it pretty clear. So we are on approval, disapproval for this. I mean, to me, we're still going to have final call on this because we're going to have to reapply. So right now we're just deciding on whether to roll it over or not. We could adjust it right now, or we could adjust it in the next meeting when we know, when we have more information. But as long as everybody understands that approval, in essence, I mean, is, for everyone's sake, it's they're rolling it over. So whatever we're deciding is reapplying to whatever new project. Is that clear? That's pretty much it, right? For 2022, whatever New Mexico Truly we're doing is, so at that point in time, we could approve or disapprove for whatever we're doing at that time, right?
Right.
That's our recommendation.
Okay. So if I can have a motion, or I can have a motion with an adjustment, I'm open to the board.
Yeah, so moved as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right. Roll call.
Gabriel Garcia,
Yes.
Shauna Sandoval,
Yes.
Georgina Ortega Unhid,
Yes.
and Alan Ayfield.
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes.
All right. We're moving on to roll over the 26,000 for the visitor's guide that we were talking about. Again, this seems straightforward. Yes, we approved a dollar amount, but to me, when we're rolling over, we're going to get a chance again to approve the specifics on how that's going to be done. So we can mention our push for digital and so on. All we're doing is rolling over the money that was approved, not what was approved, to be clear. Is that clear? That right, Bill? We're just rolling over money. We're not rolling over affirmation of what we approved.
That's correct. We'll start talking with Andy Kingsbury on this and see what they envision the future to be.
Okay. And by rolling over, so we want to talk to them. Does this also open it up to, I noticed the visitor's guide, I think in one of the proposals, maybe I missed it, but does this open it up to other people as well? Or are we saying roll over for Andy and so on to do the guide again?
Well, I think that would probably need to be discussed as well. My understanding is that a lot of ads had been sold for last year's magazine, and a lot of people are just keeping them in abatement right now, just because they didn't put out a guide last year. So so there is a lot of advertising money that's already out there that have been invested into the magazine and just basically rolled over as well. So, we probably need to discuss that. And again, we're paying for X number of pages that are allocated to the city. So like 19 pages or something like that. So that's part of the deal.
See, this is
Alan,
online right now.
Alan, you had a question, Alan?
Yeah, I would move to roll it over as presented, but just to be clear, like Bill says, I really hope that this is not just rolled over to keep it in a queue, but with an understanding that Andy has done a superior job putting this program together, and I hope that we'll continue to do so. Same thing with the cooperative marketing program. I think that Vegas First and the Chamber of Commerce are the ideal parties to do that, and I hope that not only is it rolled over, but that we continue those negotiations. So I move that we roll over this as presented.
I have a question. We're still in discussion, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we're discussing. I mean, there's a motion on the floor, but you can discuss.
All right. Discussion is that did we have a written contract with them for that funding and the specific prior to COVID? And if we did not have a written contract in hand prior to the COVID when this first came, I strongly feel that it should be opened because everything that I hear from the state is digital because COVID is not going to end in next month. It's not going to end by springtime. So we're looking at some more time that we're going to need to do digital. And if we should open it to people who have the access to do digital for us, because the whole state and every state in the union is looking at digital. All right? We should not just hold it just for, if we don't have a contract for those specifics, then it should be opened. That's my input.
Let me just make it clear. Both the New Mexico True monies we just talked about and approved, and this will have to go through the approval process again anyway, because it never materialized originally. So you're right, we did not have a contract, but we were anticipating it. But obviously it got delayed and it's going to be pushed off to next year or FY22.
Can
So,
you hear us, Bill?
Say again?
Bill, can you hear me? This is Melissa Green with Andy Kingsbury.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can we say something about rolling it over into next year and what's going to happen? I agree with Georgina. I think and we've been available as digitally, but if that's how it has to be, where it's a completely digital guide, it still has to be produced. We'd still be happy to do it. The advertiser would still have to, pay for their placement. And I think with the unknown in front of us, more than likely it would just be digital for the first half of the year. Well, then we get into fiscal year, 2022, and maybe we go back to printing, but try to sell that in the fall, which Alan, we had discussed about doing that this year before COVID got as unruly as it has. So I agree, it's going to be, we have to, because of the unknown, we still want to promote our community, but we just don't know if it's going to be strictly digital or if by June you'll be able to, the visitor centers will be open and be able to hand those things out. So, we agree with what we've heard. We just don't know, can't predict the future.
Right. So we can probably look. I mean, and these items can still be discussed. Right? I mean, today we're just, in my mind, we're just rolling over monies we've already set aside for the visitors guide, and as we get more information going forward within the next meetings, we could discuss how this rollover is going to be applied and what percentage we could do digital and what percentage we could go into print. But some of that information we don't know now, but what we can do is say, we know that we'll have 26,000 set aside for whatever we do. So I think it's that simple right now. As far as the details, I think we have a little bit of time to discuss. So as far as today's meeting, I think we can, I think it's straightforward. All we're doing is setting aside $26,000 again for a visitor's guide. So if we go with that direction, I'll entertain actually, there's already a motion on the floor. If I have a second, we can move on.
Can you repeat that motion again, please?
So the motion was by Alan. So he motioned to approve as is in the agenda, and that's to roll over 26,000 for the visitor's guide.
She'll go no.
I'll second that.
Okay, and then a roll call.
Shauna Sandoval. Gabriel Garcia. Alan Ayfield.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to take a call real quick.
Okay, Shauna, so we had a roll call for approval to roll over the visitor's guide, 26,000, and it's a yes or a no by you.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And we'll miss
and
you if he's still there. If not, I think it passes.
yeah, Gabe's not there, but motion still passed with the
Okay.
votes.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to
Hello?
yes.
They didn't call my name at the roll call.
Oh, go.
Sorry about that. Georgina, or take it on ahead.
Yes, now it's official.
Okay. All right, sorry about that. I missed that. I think motion passes. Moving on to approval or disapproval for RFP marketing plan proposal.
I prefer this to be in a more of a discussion mode rather than approval, disapproval, since we don't have a RFP to approve. And we need to get some guidance from the board as to maybe the campaigns they would be interested in doing and how much of the remaining monies that we have, the 140,000, that we want to maybe allocate to a budget for this program. We have been talking to Highlands about it. We're still not sure whether the RFP or an MOU would be the best approach on this, depending on how specific we are about the projects or campaigns. Virginia and I have talked about some focuses on outdoor rec and of course the recovery. Outside of the New Mexico Troop program, where we would have a little bit more control, more specificity on how we advertise and where we advertise and what we advertise. So it's pretty much still kind of up in the air. I've had a meeting try to set up with the Dean of Business to further discuss this and see what direction they feel comfortable in going and how much detail that we need to give them. And so I kind of put it out there for discussion because it's been kicked around by the board we would like some kind of marketing campaign, but we've never been specific on what that was supposed to look like. And I know, Alan, you've mentioned it several times, so maybe you can give us some ideas of what your thought process is on this.
I'm sorry to be vague, but I just think we don't have enough information right now.
Okay. So, I mean, in the past, look, part of the campaigns that we've done is some of the research. But if we don't want to redo that research, we can reflect back on some of those. We've already, I mean, look, the old trails, new adventures, on that side of the community, we've already have done a lot of work. That and with New Mexico, true, if there's something, in that direction can come from Highlands as part of what we want them to do. So if we need help, that's coming up with what we want, then that's, I mean, to me, that's fair game as well. So.
And I think that's the biggest thing for tech is because there's been multiple discussions about getting people or getting help and stuff, but it's never been clarified exactly what the board or the city wants. Like, do you want designers? Do you want someone to help with, maintenance of a website or building a new one or building new campaigns? Or do you want a photographer or a videographer or someone to create a marketing plan? I mean, it's such a broad ask that you guys are asking for, but there's never been specific details of exactly what you want.
Yeah, and you're right, and each one of us might have a different idea, or one of us might not have an idea to approach it. I mean, my thing, for this has been to an encompassing vision to get us all together to market the city. So whether it's a campaign or branding, it was having that vision and marketing everyone efficiently, getting rid of redundancies, not having to do the same advertisements or doling out smaller portions of money when we can have a giant campaign to cover the whole. It gets tougher with Highlands because the first question is whether they can do an all-encompassing campaign or not. I guess we can just ask, but some of the things I envision is some of the things we've done before with marketing companies. And so again, one of the aspects is when we branded, the other one was when we had one campaign that worked for a while, but then we petered out and didn't do much with it. So if we can have a focus on deliverables of exactly what we want, then that would be good. You brought up website and some of those other things. I mean, website and some of these other things will be good because we want a cohesive message, right? I think New Mexico True tries really hard to get all the towns onto one page and have a cohesive message for New Mexico. We kind of want that for the groups in Las Vegas. It doesn't mean that they can't do some of their own campaigning on the streets on their own, but we need to figure out a way to get everybody on the same page with the same message. That way, we can efficiently use the sources. So if they can use our visitors' website, so be it. If the visitors guide can tie into our visitors' website and that be vision, so be it. But we want to have a template and things going forward where it seems like it's one solid product that when they see something, they know it's from Las Vegas. That's what I envision. Now, that's another thing, trying to put it into an RFP and saying, hey, can someone do this?
I mean, that's not hard once you know, because you just say we need a marketing firm to come in and create a campaign, an overall campaign for Vegas. Again, I mean, we've hired several firms before to do this with old, new adventures, old Trails New Adventures, with Dan Authentic, Outdoor Adventures. We've done this several times. So, I mean, if you're just going to repeat that same process again, we have that in place from the past ones.
We can, and some of the discussions is like we needed to have was who does what. So right now the city and you are doing the website. I think and social media, if I'm not mistaken. We can continue on in that direction, or we could have it as part of this. And so I'm just saying that that's the discussion, just like you, of what we need to have, so we can decide what Highland should do. So I'm up for discussion, but I'm trying to narrow it down. I mean, what other things do you think entails in our overall tourism that we need to have done? Am I missing? I mean, as far as the design elements, right? I mean, we would have to have some guidelines on what we'd want for design, what we'd like to have that entailed, or we could say it's open and anybody can go there. But that's, for me personally, that's something that I don't know, is not, we can have any media firm do. It's not necessarily a cohesive project. I'm just looking for something overall arcing that we're working together for.
So I would just suggest going with the firm again, then going with Highlands if that's what you want to do, because then you're asking for a full-out campaign.
Okay.
May I say something? This is George.
Give me one second. I had Alan, and then you're next. Go ahead,
Alan. I don't think this is significantly different than, for example, the Cisneros contract. It was a pretty open-ended contract for marketing purposes, and they did all kinds of stuff for us. The difference is that they were in Santa Fe, and we ended up having to do a lot of that work here locally anyway, and we lost most of that work product. So I think a broad marketing services contract with somebody like Highlands in Las Vegas who can do marketing coordination, broad services from websites to preparation of content, I really think that's all we need, and to a certain extent, I hope that we don't overthink it, because I think this is a really important strategic relationship.
Right, and then we don't want to send out stuff that we're already taking care of too. I mean, why are we going to put money into things that we've already got a handle on? So that's something you might want to think too, like what is staff doing that, you know, they can continue to do that you don't have to go for.
Right. And so, I mean, the Bill and then Virginia, I mean, is there a list of things that you could present to us as far as those things that you guys would like to carry on and would like to present on that end? So then we wouldn't consider it as part of this project. We would let the city continue doing that. Can we have a future presentation? So then we can say, hey, no, the city is doing this well. We have an update on it. We do not need to contract this out.
To be honest with you, the way I see it is that we've got help on a lot of edges. We've got Google and the state helping us with social media and marketing and other things. We got other people helping us with other parts of it too. The biggest part I see is, you know, coming up with the campaigns and your designs.
Coming up with I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Coming up with a campaign for the design?
For the coming up with campaigns and coming up with the designs for those campaigns.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you think about it, we just got an audit in our social media and our website and everything through the state and Google, and they were actually pretty good. They were really good. Just, you know, small things we got to incorporate. But I'm thinking you guys are looking more not at that part as much the digital. So what I see is that you're looking at more of print, billboards, you know, these magazines, things that go out. So you're looking more for a designer and someone to create those campaigns more than anything.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that is certainly part of the thing. I mean, there's other portions of it, but that was my questions for Highlands as well. Outside of media arts, and this would be more in their marketing business side of it, is actual, you know, help with even placement and where to, and at what times, using what data. But that's only if they had that expertise. So yeah, I'd like some of that advice too, saying, hey, you know what, this, you know, we're placing these ads in the right place. It's the right message. And this is why it's the most effective, sort of along those lines. So I know people have those numbers and can give those suggestions. It's either a company or it's something that Highlands can do.
Can I speak now?
Oh, sorry, Georgina, go ahead.
This is a question toward Virginia and Bill. In the last 10 years, all the marketing companies that we have hired, you have what we had asked for, their deliverables. Do you have data that shows what worked and what didn't, so we could do a process of elimination? So when we look at it today, we're not asking the same questions, because we know that question didn't work last time, you know, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, or even last year, because COVID has changed the market so drastically now on how we go and buy things and do travel or even visit. But it's just a process of elimination. If you can highlight what the deliverables were supposed to be for all these last 3 marketing campaigns we had, and exit out the ones that did not work, and make sure that we do not come on that list again. When we ask Highlands or whoever that is going to be doing a campaign for us, we know what we don't want and we know what did not work.
Well,
Because we do have that information, and to be honest with you, we've hired firms after firm after firm, and honestly, the only things we're using from all of that money we've put out are the guides that they've given us with like our color schemes, our fonts, and things like that. The actual things they created, we never really got assets off of them because a lot of them use stock and things like that. So we really don't have a lot to show from all that money that went out, except for those guys. That's it.
So the biggest danger is when, and so I mean, the New Adventures Down Old Trails came from a branding campaign, and that was through a marketing committee with several of the entities in Las Vegas. But the biggest warning that marketing company gave us before they even started, before we even approved it, was to make sure that we continue on with the campaign and actually use it. Because most people, and this is the answer you'll get for a lot of people, when they don't continue on, they just drop the ball and don't actually use the campaign, well, they have nothing to show for it 4 years later. And so that company didn't even want to accept our what our application was. They weren't ready to deal with us unless we were fully committed into continuing on with it. Unfortunately, things changed and we didn't follow through with that project. In fact, we moved on to a different campaign from New Adventures Down Old Trails. So we done a lot of research. They provided a lot of documentation other than merchandising. I don't know where that went, but I know what I read and I know the amount of research that they did. It's too bad that, those hundreds and hundreds of papers and research that they did is now gone to waste because we can't find what they did, but they did an incredible amount. We could either find it and build on it, or we start over again. But it's too bad. The reason that we're losing these out isn't because, and don't get me wrong, some of these companies have taken advantage of us, but some of this is we've continued to drop the ball on our own. We've continued to not continue with campaigns. So we pay for something and then we don't follow through with it. That New Mexico, the branding campaign, we didn't follow through with it. We fell off, and it's too bad. If we find some of it, then it's things that we can use. The first year of Cisneros, we had deliverables. We had exact deliverables. So we had a website, we had a campaign, we had specific things that we wanted. It's the second year where it fell off, where we were so broad. It was so broad because we didn't list any deliverables. We just extended some money, okay? And that's where we went wrong. That's too broad, okay? So the first year had distinct develop on what we wanted for website and so on, but it was common with the campaign that we're running. The biggest mistake we did is we didn't write down that we should own the content. So at the end of the day, we discovered that they owned the content. They owned the website, they owned everything. So when that contract was done, we were left with nothing. So yes, if there's something that we want to learn, that's what we need to learn, that whatever contract we make, we better own the content that comes out of it so that we don't lose it. So yes, going forward for whatever we decide, that should be in there. I think there's things that we could learn. It doesn't necessarily mean that because we've made those mistakes in the past that we can't do something going forward, knowing these things. So it's not like, oh, we should never do a marketing company again or this company. I think we need to learn what we need to learn and make our best judgment going forward. You put some elements in here on the packet, Virginia. There's a letter that you had sent to the media arts instructor.
Yes, and it was basically just an idea of what I had gathered the last time, but I'm doing something different now. But what I had gathered last time, so we kind of just put them into a smaller letter, more or less what you're looking for. But what I'm hearing today is something different from that. So I'm sure.
Okay, well, just to start with the first one, it's that you have on the list, creation of a campaign is your first on the list of the on the letter that you've on the attachment that you letter in the sent. So it's under concept and campaign development. So this consists of overall planning and concepting of creative direction of the campaign as a whole, including but not limited to creation of campaign, creation of New Mexico True Marketing, visitor guide marketing and advertisements, design elements such as electronic banners, print, sign, billboards, merchandise, social media, electronic, apps, etc., resizing designs for various outlets, color palette creation, and photography and video. Okay. So this sounds like a good focus for specifically media arts, right? And just the media arts focus portion of it, right? Media creation. Is that correct? Is that what you had in mind? Yeah.
I was just going off of what you guys had mentioned the last time. Like I say, I think the direction should be more of, you know, getting students involved to help with the creation of a campaign and the design and things like that, and maybe even a maintenance of some of the campaigns. We already have design guidelines in place. We have the websites, we have the social media, everything's in place. It just needs content. So, not sure. I mean, it could be a combination of that and what you talked about today too, but that's all up to the board too to make that final decision.
So Virginia, we do have a what's it called? Like a rule book for our design, right?
We have a design guideline, yes.
Yes.
Fonts, colors, yeah, we do have that. That's the only thing we've actually kept and we continue to use from all of these campaigns and companies and stuff we've hired. And then two, you guys got to take into consideration when we were hiring all these people, city or really anybody didn't have anybody in-house to do it or maintain any of this. So that's, you know, something additional we have available.
All right. Okay. All right. So that. So what we'd asked for, and so Gabriel, you were gonna work with Chuck on something as far as an RFP goes. Did that ever materialize on that direction? Or Chuck?
What was the question?
You were gonna work with Gabe as far as RFP and the directive that way, because it's
the RFP, all that. Virginia was taking lead on all that.
Okay.
No, we're still trying to, like I said at the opening on this conversation, that we thought that maybe going with an MOU rather than RFP might be a better way to go, where we can basically give them ideas of direction and they come back and give us a cost on that, rather than trying to do it, you know, from the beginning, you know, have them give us a proposal on a whole program.
Okay. So what we need to decide, and what I need from you guys, I mean, this is the best directive I could give, is that tell me what you guys want to keep and do. So Virginia, just, hey, if you want to keep doing website, keep doing social media updates, present us to us why, or if not, this is something that needs to be done, and then present what you want done. So Virginia, you've told me a couple of things that you would like to have help with. I mean, let's start with that. I'm just saying that I'd like it to be a cohesive thing, okay, going forward. So some of the templates help, yes, but I just want us all to be on the same page. So whatever we do, the entities in town are on board. They know what's going on. If there's help that they can get, they know that it's there. And so we needed to kind of put the meat down now for it. So if it's not website and if it's not these things, okay, what would we like to have done? If it's just the media portion of it, fine, let's narrow it down to the media portion of it, and they're helping us with design work. So I'd like to have that iron out. If we need to put it in approval groups, fine. But if you're going to have more conversations with Highlands, let me know. If not, I mean, let's start ironing down exactly what we want, and we could start shooting this to companies. I mean, what I can't do for you guys, unfortunately, Busy, is actually write the RFPs and so on. Some of that expertise needs to come from the city and so on. I'm hoping that could still happen on scope of work there. I think we have examples from the past. So if there's any question or any permissions from the board that you need, I'm open for that too. We can have that discussion. The board could say, yeah, you know what, this is a good idea. We'd like to do it. So in the past, we've been presented with presentations. We can discuss this to death, but unless we narrow it down, we're gonna keep talking here. So is there any questions from this? We keep throwing the ball around, but I'm not getting paid for this. So if there's, if there is something to be made, let's have a presentation for it. We can discuss it and approve. I mean, it's an advisory board, not a creation board. I can't create the campaign or the notions for you. I'm trying to advise the best way possible. I hope that's.
So what I could do is I could put together kind of a list of what we do and what we may need help with or what we need, and then explain each one of those and send it out to the board so you guys have time to look at it and discuss it before we do any presentation or discussion. And then that way, in that, we can clarify whatever needs to be clarified. Would that be good with you guys?
Yeah. I mean, look, we don't.
That's the RFP, because I'm sure by then we would already had the discussion of what direction to go.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're not getting the narrowed down information from us, from the board, feel free to narrow it down, enlighten with us, and present us with something that we can approve going forward. We've already pretty much kind of given the broad push of we want something to happen. I think I mean, for myself as a chair, I'm just saying, okay, now tell us what you can do. It's within a meeting every quarter, every month. I don't think it's for the board to come up on the fly for some of these things. So that's why we're asking the guys that work on this every day. I mean, this is your to say, okay, this is what we should do, and put that in front of the Lodgers Tax Board, and we'll be happy to review and go forward from there. Is there, I mean, if there's any other clarifications, if there's big items that we need to discuss again, I mean, let us know if that helps and to narrow it down. Is there anything that we haven't discussed in there? I mean, as far as, again, I'm open to suggestions. My only narrative was that we're on the same page and it's whatever we do is a cohesive project. But I know we need something. Is there any other things that need to be answered that's keeping us from narrowing this down a little bit, Bill and Virginia, so we can get something out there?
I mean, I think you guys clarified a lot of it now in this discussion, so I'm pretty sure I could put something together and get out to you guys. I have an idea what you want, but like I said, I'll send it to you. You review it. Let me know if it is or isn't.
Okay.
Then we can have a discussion at the next meeting.
Okay, you heard too, so I say it could be, I mean, some things can, if we're not fleshed out, some things can be broad, as long as we're trusting about it, but in other things, we need to be very clear on what's wanted as far as deliverables. That's what it is to me. And that's just kind of learning what we've gone through before. And then in anything we write, like we said, we own the content, whoever goes forward, continuing on. So we need to make those rights clear going forward. So those are some clear things to go by. I think if you give us options, once we get into the nitty gritty, I don't know whether we want, I mean, obviously we're on full digital mode. So that's a given for anything we do. But some of the other things for video and so on, look, if you guys look into it, and if it's something that's really something that we need to do, then the board can entertain that. But you guys are doing this on the day-to-day where you can give the input when we have these meetings, but this is a 1-hour meeting. You guys are working on this on a continuous basis. So for the next meeting, I mean, again, you guys could come to us and say, look, this is what we'd like to, this is the best efficient use of what we need to do. Heck, you can even come back to us and say, look, this is why a campaign's not needed. This is what we need. But we've given the directive that this is, we would like an entity to do this. I think we've narrowed it out somewhat where I'm leaving it up to you to kind of come back to us with something cohesive to approve.
Okay, and I'll get with Gabe just to make sure too. So Gabe, I'll be in touch with you, and I'll put something together so you guys get that.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you had on the letter, I mean, it seems like a good start for the media creation portion of it. If that's something you believe in, then continue on in that directive plus whatever else. That's what the help is. And then I know with Bill, we've mentioned having an intern, and if that's part of the project, present that as well. So if that helps bring that along as well, I know we've helped with that in the past, or we've done AmeriCorps and then half and half and things like that. And so that's something that I wanted to bring back as well. All right. So I don't think it's really a approval or not. It's still it's basically should be a discussion item. So I think there's nothing to approve. Is there any other discussion in this item, or is there any concerns that we're leaving something out or we need to narrow down? The hope was to have kind of the meat of it now to approve or disapprove in January, but I'm not sure if we're going to be there. So we can return in January and then consider a special meeting to approve the marketing plan. There is my thoughts. Does that sound like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be talking a little bit more about it because one of the discussion items is the marketing committee. So we can talk a little bit about it there too.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is there any other discussion on proposal then? If there's anyone that with any other ideas, Gabriel or Shauna or Alan, just I mean, look, send those approvers over email so we can kind of put it together. If there's things that you would like to see done as ideas, put them across. I mean, now's the time. We're struggling with what, I mean, normally in other times we know exactly what we want to do. Right now it's weird times, but let's, I mean, make sure to provide that feedback of exactly what you'd like done so we can put in a scope of work so we can get this out there and get going. All right. So moving on to, we are at 30,000 COVID-19 marketing campaign.
We can cancel that. The city is using COVID money for that.
Okay. Okay. Is that part of that application that you filled out, Regin, on the points, or was that separate?
No, this is something totally different. So this
Okay.
is two campaigns in one, really is what it is. It's one with the state that we've been working with to make sure we get our businesses certified, New Mexico True certified, COVID safe certified, I should say. Because we have certain advantages when reopening, things like that. So that's part of it, but the major part of it is a campaign that we put together with the county, El Centro. It's a whole group of people that working together to create a huge campaign. They've got students that are going to make videos. It's huge. It's really a big collaborative project that we're working together with. And we were going to get Ask Lodgers Tax for that money, but we were able to get the COVID money for that instead.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Alan, I seen you raise your hand again, so I didn't know if you had a question.
Alan, oh no, Alan had to leave the meeting. He had another meeting.
Okay, but yeah, so that's what that is. It's the two campaigns. One that we had been working on, but we're gonna expand it to really work with the businesses for their certifications and things like that. And then the other portion is really and this is kind of the one with the county and stuff. The red, yellow, green to promote it. I love Las Vegas, so I stay home because
Got it. Okay.
what it is.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like that the COVID money went to the right place for that campaign. Great. Okay. Look forward to seeing that. Hopefully everyone reads them and follows through on COVID. Going to discussion items. Procedure for event funding. Look, I think the procedure should kind of stay the same of what we were trying to do. So we can we had come up with applications. You guys have seen them before. I think we approved the format. If anyone has different suggestions for that, then they can chime in. But we already have a format. I think what we just need to decide is when we're going to accept the applications, so on. January is normally a good time, but I'm not sure. It just depends on what we have going and what COVID's going to do.
I think, Mr. Chair, the question was more related to, because we're at quarterly meetings, if we have an event that let's say Chuck needs to, it seems like a good idea, staff thinks it's a good idea, it's going to cost maybe $1,000. We have a budget set aside for $20,000 for events. We're not talking really fiestas here or motorcycle rally type things, just something off the cuff more likely. And, so can we access those monies between meetings, for instance?
Right. And so, and this is for an event or for anything?
Be for events.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we've set aside a portion for a reason. What we need to make sure that we need to do is that we're fair, because we go through an application process and everybody properly does it. And then somebody will come in the last minute and will approve something. And so then it's not fair to the people kind of following the rules, of applying at the right time, putting in the application at the right time, and so on. Maybe smaller amounts can do, but the big event funding, I mean, I think it should be proper. I think there should be enough time given for us to score and approve for it. Maybe for smaller funding, we can do the one-offs. We can decide on an amount. So maybe something like $500 or to less than $1,000 is something that we can consider outside of these applications of something that we need to get done. But as far as the bigger amounts, I think it needs to, I mean, we've set up it's for good reason, because we need to let the public know when these monies are available to apply for, how to apply, and how they would get it. And they would get it by how they would score on the application.
But I think, Mr. Chairman, the $20,000 that's already set aside for events, for example, like if we needed lights for our Christmas event, that $20,000 is already allocated for events for that.
Right.
So I guess the question is, can we access those funds for things that we are doing?
Well, we need to, for most of those, we need to do it in a timely manner as well. If it's something like, hey, it's just brand new, but some of this stuff we figure out during budgeting and whether we're going to spend the money on those things or not. So if we need discretionary stuff on stuff like this, then come budget time, this is something that we should put in the budget, and it's easier for us to access. So if it's not an event or not event around that 20,000, you're talking about miscellaneous spending, then we need to set that money aside. Look, if it's not in a event, I would venture you can put it on the agenda, and if it's in one of the buckets that we put for on our budget, then I don't see why not we couldn't approve it that way. But if we're talking specifically for event marketing funding, then we've kind of tried to set up an established way to do that. So it's things that we can do going forward to make sure that we include it correctly in the budget and so on. So if there's things that are missing, let's try to make sure we have a place for it in the budget.
Well, we're talking about right now due to COVID, we've got some unforeseen events. We got events that are being canceled, other that may take their place that are COVID friendly, let's say, that type of thing. And we're not talking about a $10,000 marketing campaign, just something rather small.
Yeah, and so so if it's small things, I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not sure what's stopping us from just putting it on the agenda and we approve. So if it's smaller things, I would say less than $1,000. I don't personally have objections. I'm open to any discussion by the board on that. So I'm having trouble trying to figure out what's exactly being asked of the board as far as the discussion goes. I think that, if you guys want to seek permission for something smaller, I'm thinking you could put it on the agenda and we can consider it from there. I just want to keep in mind, as far as if it's for a specific event, that it's fair to how we're doing what we're doing to the process for the $20,000 for the event funding for everyone.
I keep hearing the word event, and it's kind of misleading for people, because people think of an event, it's a social gathering. Because of COVID, we might give it a different word, name that, maybe communication or something to do COVID. Right. Yeah, because if you, and most of everything that people are used to hearing the word event is that it's a social gathering, and we cannot do social gatherings.
Right,
so,
right.
And I'm all with it about limiting it to, I would even say 500, because it's a long winter and a long fiscal year we're going to be heading into, and there's no funding anywhere. So we need to use the money wisely, and for the foreseen future right now, for the next 12 months, we really have to think about how this is going to be used, and is it used for the right purposes in educating people on COVID.
Right.
So that means, that sounds like any application to have an event has to have, in these new applications, have to have COVID practice and standards on it.
Okay, so we can add some of those things to the score sheet. What we can also do, and that's where it comes full circle, is whether, because of COVID, whether we're deciding on event funding in January in the first place. In normal times, that would be something that's feasible, but because of COVID, we might say no. We're going to decide on event funding in April when we have a better picture of what's happening. So we can say, hey, we're going to have a deadline for the applications, at this date, and we're going to decide on the applications in April. And so my hope is that if there's any other things or details that are missing, if there's smaller miscellaneous things that we need to do, we can consider at that point as well.
I feel like we can, I don't want to do what the state did to us with the grant. Like, we put out a new application that has COVID standards on it for a very small event that meets those standards, and then things change, and then we basically deny whoever applied for them, even though they followed the guidelines.
Right. So yeah, we'd have to decide. I mean, unless somebody comes up with a Zoom event, I wouldn't imagine anything within this scope. So I mean, again, the thought was January, but this was what we were talking about when COVID first started. Now we're still with COVID, so probably January at this point of what's going on right now doesn't sound like the right spot either. Like the visitor's guide and so on, we can find a spot for it. The second scheduled quarterly meeting, I think that's April, right? That could be a good spot for it. And hopefully it's pushed down far enough where we can have that discussion and approval. We still need to come up with a date of when the deadline should be given in so that we can have them to score in the April meeting. Maybe we can put that on the agenda for January so that we can have it set for April. Again, by the time January and so on goes along, we'll have continued information on COVID. The hope is that we're ready to do that in April. I hope so. I think things are looking good. But that's that. So we can have that discussion on the exact date for the deadline and also the, also the approval, disapproval if we want COVID items on the application, even if it's for April. But I think that's a good point to have on January to decide on as approval or disapproval. That's that portion. I thought that's what we were talking about, the miscellaneous spending portion. If there's anything else, I think city needs to come back and tell us what they need. I don't want to keep it broad. And if that's something that they want, I think there's some, I don't know if they go back into code. I mean, it's happened in the past. Smaller amounts have been spent without our approval. But if they want that approval, I don't see why they can't put it on the agenda. I'm just asking that it comes from, we just know where it come from or where we're bidding it. And if it's for something specific that we're already setting aside money for, that we are respecting that procedure. So I think I've said my piece on that. I also don't think things like Christmas lights would be in the vein of what lodger's tax does as far as marketing. So I'm hoping that was just an example. But if there's any other discussion on this item, I'll entertain it. Okay, moving on to new marketing committee.
So this idea came basically from discussions internally with the city about, because of COVID and the impact it's having on large cities and so forth. Can we market Las Vegas not only to come here and visit, but maybe come here and stay? And so the discussion then, said, well, we would probably need to put some heads together to talk about this. And then, of course, we thought about, well, this could probably help us to advise us on New Mexico True. It could probably maybe help us with dealing with Highlands or any other marketing program as well, providing advisory service. And this would be made up of about 5 to 7 people from the community that have strong marketing business skills. And then with representatives from the various nonprofits, Chamber, Main Street, LV First, that type of thing, to provide input or part of their requests that would come through the city to lodger's tax. So, it could have a broad swipe, or it could be narrowly focused, just depending on what the situation is. So we've already collected names, and the city's moving forward with this idea, and we just wanted to brief the lodgers board that this is out there, and we hopefully will have something in motion by the first of the year.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, we've used a marketing committee in the past. I mean, to me, the good points that have come out of it is it puts, if we have the right people, if it puts the right people in one place, that it gives where they can provide their feedback and what they would want. So we were struggling as far as what our scope of the campaign was for Highlands. Marketing committee like this can shoot around ideas, and look, they can meet more than Largest Tax does, and they can shoot around those things so we can make sure that we're addressing the public, right? For each entity, that they have an outlet to say, look, this is what we'd like to see. This is what we'd like to see for if they want a campaign, or what would be in a campaign, and so on, or what they would like to see, what project they would like us to focus on. It just provides more seats, and it spreads out that output to all the entities to be in town. So if it's created, my hope is that it's even and includes every group, so that we can have a discussion, and hopefully it's for the directive to be productive, and not it's not a sounding board to be destructive or to sound off against something. It's supposed to be a productive group to provide input from every group on what we can do, and hopefully that committee can let us know, so then Largest Tax Board can make better recommendations.
All right, there you go. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
All right. So if there's not any more discussion on that, it's LVFIB, Las Vegas First Billboards on I-40 near Santa Rosa. Is that you, John?
Looks like he's frozen.
Oops, we just had him. We were almost there. You still there, John?
Oh, there he is. John, you may need to log out and log back in.
Is that him? John?
I can remove him from the meeting and let him try to log back in.
Yeah. I kind of want to. He's been waiting the whole meeting, so we could get him in, and then we'll.
I can speak a little bit about it till he comes back on board. The discussion, there are some billboards in the Santa Rosa area that are available at a discount. And the discussion was, we've discussed about whether we should do billboards or not do billboards. But again, it's a corridor that the city is not presently advertising. And I think Alan has a hotel billboard on I-40. So that's pretty much about what John was going to talk about. Hopefully he logged back in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call right now. I think I know we've been discussing it before. I think there's different time. I mean, there's timing for everything. I mean, right now, billboards just doesn't seem to be a grand idea to sign off on. It doesn't mean that's not forever, but I think we've kept mentioning digital and all things that. It's just billboards right now is counterproductive to what essentially the state's trying to do as far as travel. So that's confusing parts. Until that clears up, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to sign any contracts right now. It doesn't mean that that's not going to happen in the future, but I think we kind of need to get on here before we sign any new contracts.
Okay, John just came back in.
Oh,
John, you're back? Oh, you're muted. There you go. Yeah, John, Bill gave us a little bit of summary of what you want to do, but go ahead on the billboards.
We still don't hear you, John.
You probably need to turn the gain up on the mic. Huh.
Real quick, how many billboards do we have total?
Regina, right now we have 5. Some on the north end, some on the south end, and then we also have over by Story Lake on that entrance. I personally like the idea of having these 2 billboards that he's mentioning in Santa Rosa, because that would cover us through all entrances of Las Vegas. And I don't know if you guys seen my screen earlier, but I was showing you kind of what the billboards are looking like right now, which include the COVID safe practices and, you know, about wearing a mask and things like that. So, I mean, it could be part of, you know, what we've been working on, but that's kind of my suggestion. I think we would have, I mean, it would be nice to have them at all entrances.
Yeah, I know we've had in the past, the struggle's always been, and so look, you know, for my, you know, hotel, you know, I've struggled with placement there, and I thought about, but, you know, when I looked at the actual, I-40 has tremendous traffic, so eyeball wise, that's great, but I don't know how many of those eyeballs translate into them taking the road from Santa Rosa and them entering Las Vegas. That's been my biggest trouble point. And when I sit there and review the traffic count on that road, a good portion of it seems to be local traffic, but as much as I'd want to see from I-40, at least coming from Santa Rosa, I wasn't seeing the numbers. There's a considerable amount of trucking traffic that's crossing over from I-40, and that used to be sitting at Tonodio's there on that exit, and now have moved to Love's, and that was a considerable amount of trucking traffic where they wanted to cross over and come into I-25. I've seen that. Now, as far as tourists crossing over from that point, I've had a hard time figuring that. I mean, that's the hardest thing about billboards, is finding that translation of whether, yes, they saw it, but are they taking that exit and actually going up to Las Vegas? The traffic counts for the road when they take the exit to come to Las Vegas, I mean, if we get them, that would be good. I think the last counts that I saw, they weren't mind-blowing. It's the I-40 eyeballs that's what we're really looking for. So yeah, if we want to put a billboard, we need to kind of figure out, they need to make sure that, hey, they're taking the exit and actually coming to Las Vegas. So that's something to decide.
Can you hear us, John? No?
We can't hear you, John. Okay. All right. Look, I think we're going to have time to discuss billboards again. It's and right now it's just for a discussion item, but during this COVID time, I'm not a fan of signing contracts right now. I think we have time to do it if we want to address it again in the future when we have a cleaner aspect of it. But at this point, New Mexico itself has a mixed message on whether to be on the road or not, whether to be shopping or not. So, you know, having this discussion just is pretty weird to me. Again, it just seems to be the wrong point to talk about it now, unless they want to negotiate it and give us a great thing for something in the future, starting in the future, and they want us to sign off now. That might be a discussion point. I think Ellen had the same point too. Now is the time to negotiate for future things. There's a lot of people not renewing billboards right now. I mean, they don't have the money. There's a lot of people not doing some of these things. We need to be able to take advantage of our negotiating power. Okay. Look, I got several emails from Lamar and so on when people started dropping billboards, you know, immediately. I mean, so that was my signal that they're losing billboards out there. So that means more flexibility for them. So we should be getting better deals. At this point in time, the logic of if we put the billboard up right now, that somehow we're going to get more people in, that's not translating to me, and it's not flowing with the messages that we have from everywhere. So I think we're better focused on what we're going to be doing forward and up and out of COVID. So if this comes up again for future placement, I think it's a good thing to look at. But that's my view on that. If John, maybe you can send an email and so on as far as what you wanted to say, so we can see it, and then we can have it to discuss on a future meeting as well. Okay. All right.
So they're going to come back at the next meeting that we have with possibility of negotiating a better price. And is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting is that everyone that has anything to do with billboards, I really think you should push hard on negotiating. Look, you have entities that are unable to pay for billboards right now. So I mean, that's the deal, and they're not paying for their billboards. So those are the things that are happening. And so when that happens, look, these companies, they do become more flexible. They have a lot more empty boards. So it behooves us for us to be pushing for the best deal possible to make our marketing dollars go the farthest. I mean, before, yes, I mean, it was a lot harder. You needed to sign off on billboards as fast as you could. You needed to catch it before it, because there was competition. At this point, I mean, it's tough comings for this kind of money. A lot of people have decided not to. So if we can, then I think we should be negotiating for better deals. And those better deals need to start when we can make it count.
And at this moment, we do not have any boards on the street.
No, right now we do have billboards. Like Virginia mentioned, we have 5 billboards.
But off Interstate 40.
No.
We don't have
on Interstate 40.
We don't have any billboards on I-40. No.
Okay, well, I think for the future, you're right about negotiation, but we definitely need to put something on I-40 because there is traffic coming in there, and we don't know if it's a lot or a little, but we won't know if we don't put it out there. So maybe renegotiate the 5 that we have within the I-25 area. Maybe take 2 of them down and put 2 on I-40, because that definitely is a city thoroughway, and that's for the future. And if she can negotiate some better deals on that, let's take a couple out on 25 and put 2 over there. Because you're missing the boat. That is a huge place, and it is very busy. And once the COVID starts to lift, you are going to get traffic, and you don't want to be, behind the ball on that. So I wish you luck in negotiating something, but if we do, I-40 is definitely one that we should have something on.
I could see the bulb and John's head turning in what he wants to say, because we've had this discussion.
Okay.
The good thing is he did get these billboards on I-40 on a deal. They're lit billboards, and it's one going one way and one going the other way. Now they are offering deals and discounts and things like that, but that's during COVID. We don't know if they'll go back to regular price once COVID is over. That's just right now that they're offering that. But those billboards are right there. They're close by I-40. They are lit, and they are pretty much they gave them a really good deal for them right now.
Yeah. So some of the things we can ask for, because during COVID times, yeah, they're discounting, but it's kind of rough trying to, yes, we're paying less, but it's really how effective is that during COVID. So the hope is that we could say, look, we'll sign off for you now for a longer period of time, as long as we have that time. And this time during COVID is kind of bonus, right? So if that is accomplished, right, say, hey, we'll pick up this billboard, you've secured a contact from us, but this next 3 months is like gratis, something like that. But some type of negotiation along to where we have an effective billboard when it counts, and they have the security of a signed contract that goes throughout. Does that make sense? So instead of a 1-year contract, it's a 15-month contract, and that 3 months of it is kind of free to us. If it's something like that and it heads into where it counts, then I mean that's something that we should at least attempt to negotiate for.
Okay, John's shaking his head.
Yeah. All right. Okay. If that's into that, we're at new and other business. Is there any new or other business? If there's not any new or other business, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
And I take the
Oh, no,
second.
we gotta stay.
Yeah.
Gabe is probably in the bathroom or something. He's not.
Yeah. But man, you guys have to stay so we can adjourn the
Oh, here
meeting.
he comes.
All right. Gabe, I need a second to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right. Roll call. Roll call. Did we lose everyone?
Georgina, take it on hand.
Yes.
Gabriel Garcia,
Yes.
Shauna Sandoval,
I think Shauna left,
and
and then me.
Kuchek Bhakta.
Yes.
Okay.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.